So the Korean stock market has been on an upward trend, to say the least. As we just saw, the benchmark Kospi did not come as close to closing the day, marking 2050 today. Now, that would have been the first time in more than 2 years, but we closed a little bit shy of that. However, foreign investors scooped up around $265 million worth of local shares today alone, which marks a 35th consecutive session of buying. This, of course, like I said, surpasses the previous record set during the first quarter of 1998. So why the cheer? For an in-depth analysis, we're now joined live in the studio by Dr. Byoung-joo, head of KLNP Consulting and our regular commentator on this program. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Kim.
Good afternoon.
So the benchmark Kospi did not break the 2050 point that we had, some of us had anticipated.
Right.
So what happened? Yeah,
2050 was the mark that a lot of people are watching today. Actually, it broke during the trading today. As soon as the market opened earlier during the day, in the morning, it actually went up over 2050. So a lot of people are really excited about this, and then finally they were saying that we are opening a new record day here, but that didn't happen. One of the key reasons is because Korea's financial institutions, large banks and others, were selling their shares. So indeed, I mean, we've seen this before when the stocks rise because of the foreign buyers buying. Usually, Korean investors tend to sell. This time today, as far as I know, Korean individual investors were buying. But however, because financial institutions are such a large presence here in the market, when they're selling, it's difficult actually to set a new kind of record. So that was the factor that kind of set the overall tone today.
Well, then let's move on to foreigners continues in net buying. So the Korean market is a very attractive market for foreign investors, apparently. How do we explain this this new all-time record?
Yeah, all-time record. That was probably bigger than what 2050 mark that I was talking about, indeed. 35-day straight since 1998. This is a big deal. And today, what made it possible probably was the agreement that was reached in Washington. They're saying this is the factor indeed. And since August 23rd, when this buying spree began, until today, for 35 days, foreigners have bought up as much as 12 trillion won worth of stocks here in Korea. So that's very, very big indeed. And a lot of people recognize that Korea is the market that kind of really stands out, even though to the Asian markets in general, money is flowing in indeed, with an exception of, we're talking about 7 major ones here in Asia, and with the exception of about 2 to 5 markets, money is flowing in. However, Korea is always, at the front in terms of the leader attracting this money. And what's happening in Korea right now is the foreign investors are investing in the blue chips. Right now, what you're seeing on the screen right now is the share of the foreigners in the Korean stock market. Right at this point, where it stands at the final point, it's about 35%. And the average since 1998 has been about 33%, so we are above average now. And lowest point you see, 28%, you see 27.9 to be exact, was reached back in 2009, April. That was the time when we are feeling the aftermath impact of the 2008, of course. And the highest point, 43.9%, was recorded back in 2004, April at that time. So now we are kind of like above average right now. How far we're going to go, we're not sure about this. Right at this point, what's happening is Korean investors' presence itself has grown considerably. So indeed, I'm quite doubtful whether actually foreign presence in terms of percentage, relative size of it, will reach back to it. But however, let's watch what happens here.
Right, and many analysts seem to believe that, the foreign investor buying spree will continue.
Well, indeed, because of this overall trend that's happening, and one of the key factors here is the continuation of the expectation for dollar weakening. When you expect the dollar will continue to weaken, meaning that the troubles and challenges will continue on the side of the United States, what you want to do is you want to keep your asset in the forms other than dollar. So now, foreign investors are saying, where do we put our asset? Korea seems to stand out among the list of possible places where these investors want to put their money in. So indeed, because of the expectation of falling dollar, that seems to be happening, and that's what those people who are saying in the long run Korean stock market will rise thanks to the foreign investors. And they are saying this time also, unlike other times, United States investors seem to be putting a lot of money into Korean market, and they tend to actually invest longer terms than European investors. So that's another one they're saying, perhaps by the end of the year, some real optimists are saying we may reach like a 2,200 point. To me, it's a long shot, but some of the optimists are saying that.
Right. Like you said earlier on, it's interesting to see that the Korean investors and financial institutions are actually going on the opposite direction of foreigners, foreign investors. Now, are we going to see a familiar cycle repeating itself again, where foreign investors push up the indices and then Korean investors start buying after the prices reach new highs?
That probably is the biggest, most important question of the day, perhaps, because we actually resent this tendency of stock market going down and then foreigners start buying up and then it's rising and then finally Korean investors going in and then stock market falls down again. So that's what Koreans are very unhappy about. And who knows at this point? But what we know for now is that household savings are not fully in the stock market at this point because of this, what we call this box movement, the rise and fall of the stock market not going up continuously. Because of that, a lot of Korean investors are disenchanted by the stock market itself. And there is plenty of skepticism out there, pessimism out there, that whether that could be reversed. But some people are saying, well, where else can they put their money if the people become sure that the stock market index itself will remain for sure above 2,000 level? And then when that conviction is made among the public, they're saying money will begin actually flowing in. So we need more time on that one. And some people are saying financial investors, especially the insurers, will certainly come back to the stock market. So that adds another point to that expectation about Koreans coming in on the higher side. But who knows, maybe the curve will continue to go up and we'll set a new pattern.
Right. Well, looking ahead, despite all this, it seems like there still is plenty to be worried about. And, most conservatives are saying, that they're worried about this. So what's ahead?
Yeah, actually, several things. United States, first of all, this is a troublemaker. We have realized this for quite some time. So United States risk, whether it will go offhand or whether it will create further risk or not, we're not sure about that. So United States is one to watch. And then China, tomorrow they will release the third quarter growth. And if it reaches somewhere around the 7.8% that market is expecting, that's a good news. They will push up the stock market further. If it goes below that, of course, there will be a minus factor. We will actually we will get to see the stock market going down once again after this big day. And another one is fundamentals, Korean companies' performance overall. That has a lot to do with the overall global market condition for the remainder of the year, which we cannot be sure of. So because of United States, China, and Korean corporate performance, skeptics are saying we need more time.
Right, and we have major firms' earnings reports coming out next week, so that will definitely weigh in on the Korean stock market.
Next week, right.
All right, thank you so much today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.